developments now with retired US General Mark Kimmitt, who's also a former Assistant Secretary of State for Political and Military Affairs. General Kimmitt, thank you so much for being with us again. So we have now this draft UN Security Council resolution on Hormuz, sponsored by Qatar, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, among others. What do you make of this pressure that's now coming from a number of countries in this region, obviously, which has been the case, but now also from the UN itself? Do you think it can have an effect on Iran's hold over Hormuz?
Well, first of all, what it's going to do is crystallize for the entire world what's at stake here. The fact that it's not simply a regional issue, but it's a worldwide issue. Countries around the world are affected, particularly those in the global south, from the lack of access to fertilizer and to fuel products. Now, candidly, do we expect to see a Security Council resolution that gets through the permanent members without getting vetoed? Probably not.
Right.
But nonetheless, the UN still remains a bully pulpit, as Theodore Roosevelt once said. There's no other place in the world where the entire view of the world can be crystallized. And I think the most that we can expect from the United Nations, it makes it very clear to Iran through the debates and through the discussions and through the voting that there is very, very little support, if any support, for the actions they're taking regarding their blocking or their new security protocol for the Strait of Hormuz.
Right. Would you expect a vote, a no vote from the Chinese on this, even though they are suffering heavily from the blockade of Hormuz because they are allied to the Iranians? Do you expect them to vote against this?
Let's wait to see if the vote is taken after the Trump visit or before the Trump visit.
What about the Russians?
You know, the Russians don't mind the strait being blocked because that allows their oil to get back on the market at regular prices. So, in fact, the only big winner out of a blocked Strait of Hormuz is Russia. I hope they're not that craven about this situation that they would vote against it only for their own pocketbooks.
Right. I wanted to ask you, General, also about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill today, asking for an additional $1.5 trillion for the defense budget for the next fiscal year. And he said this was a war-fighting budget, that it's intended to get the U.S. industrial complex back on a war footing. It's hard to understand this from an administration that has said that it wasn't interested in any more foreign wars. It sounds like a warmongering language from an administration that doesn't want any more foreign wars. How do you reconcile this?
Well, I think what is important to understand is the context under which Secretary Hegseth said that. There has been concern over the past decade about the United States getting more concerned about social issues, focusing elsewhere other than its core warfighting mission. The best way we feel to prevent war is to be ready for war. And what Secretary Hegseth, whatever you think of him, is focused on making sure that the Department of Defense, the Department of War, is focused on one thing, which is its core mission and its core mission only, which is having America prepared to fight the wars of its nation.
If the Pentagon, has said that the final cost will be, for now it's $29 billion, but there are some lawmakers and economists who've suggested that it could go up to $1 trillion. It could cost $1 trillion when you factor in the economic ripple effects of the war, and that the American public is being misled by this. What do you make of that?
No, I think presentations of numbers are always an inherently political act. I can guarantee you that it's going to cost more than $29 billion. $29 billion is barely 10 days of the defense budget. I guarantee you it's not going to cost $1 trillion, because when you get those types of analyses, that typically includes opportunity costs or sunk costs that you really can't quantify.
Right.
War is an expensive proposition. This war has been an incredibly expensive proposition because, thankfully but expensively, we're using precision weapons instead of human beings.
Right. Briefly, General Kimmitt, where do you think we're headed now? President Trump has said he will think about the ceasefire while he's on the plane to Beijing. But I don't think any side, many analysts would agree that either side wants to return to war. So what happens now with Trump going to Beijing? What can we expect?
I'm praying for the best, but I'm expecting the worst. I think we're going to be going back to war.
Well, doesn't bode very well, I guess. Thank you so much, General, for joining us on Al Jazeera. Thank you for your insight, as always. In other developments now, a wave of Israeli strikes have killed at least 6 people in Lebanon and injured 7 others in